Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I thought I would do a quick and easy short type of sit down video explaining my annotating 101. I've gotten a few questions on my Instagram DMs regarding my annotating and how I do it, why I do it, when do I annotate, all those things, because I have posted a few posts of my annotations on there. So if you guys want to check my bookstagram out, I have everything linked down below. My personal Instagram is also in the description box, so if you guys want to check that out, you're welcome to. If not, it's totally fine. I thought I would do an annotating video simply because I've gotten a few questions, and I also feel like it's fun to explain my thought process when it comes to annotating. So disclaimer though, I know some people don't like annotating. I also know some people feel like annotating on their books and then underlining and dirtying their books is just so hard to see. If you guys are pretty triggered with me drawing on my books and coloring on my books, please click out of this video. And you guys are entitled to your opinions. I do believe some people don't like annotating, and I understand why that is that way, but I love the annotating process. I do it because I think that it helps with my thought processes, and it helps kind of jot down my opinions during that moment at which I'm reading the paragraph or the chapter. So I feel like annotating for me has its uses. It's not just for aesthetic purposes and or because I want to fit into the book community of annotating. With that being said, that's my disclaimer. Hopefully you guys are okay with that. Before I talk about why I annotate and how I do it and when I do it, I am going to talk about my supplies really quick. I don't think this is anything special. I've watched a few annotating videos too, and they're all the same. They're all the same things. So I have a little pouch that I keep with my book supplies. I have my tabs in here, and I also have my little bookmarks. These are scrap papers, and I also have the pens that I use to underline and highlight, all in this little pouch. So let us talk about the tabs. I have a few inside here because I annotate on a daily basis. These are the tabs that I use. I specifically find the ones with a ruler because I know some people freeline their annotating, but I cannot freeline. My hands tremble, and if I freeline them, the line will go everywhere. So I use the ruler and I underline because it's just cleaner that way and it's easier for my eyes. So these are my tabs. I have two types. I have the ones with the white here and then the color, and then I have one that's full color because sometimes the ones that are full are not in this color palette and the ones that are with the whites are not in this color palette. So that's why I have two different types. I don't have any inkling to use one and the other, but if I use this type of tab, then I will continuously use this tab for either the whole series or just the particular book. For example, for Magnolia Parks, I use the full tabs without the whites, and so they're all full. And for like my Sarah J Maas Throne of Glass annotations, I also use the white colored ones, and so they're continuously just white. You know, shadows, they're all the tabs with the white backing. Even for Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, I also use the ones with the whites. I will never use the full on a series that I use the white tabs with. Does that make any sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I don't have a preference for which tab I use. I just pick the color that fits it the most, and I use the front cover to pick the color. So most of the tabs, for example, for Tower of Dawn, it's like gray, peachy, and so the tabs are gray and peachy and oranges. Empire of Storms, there's like blues and a bit of purple and grays, and so the tabs are blues and grays. There's like a random yellow here because the writing is yellow. So that's how I pick the tabs and the color that I use to tab my books. And then I have this. This is actually translucent little sticky notes that sometimes I use, sometimes I don't. I only started recently using these, by the way. They're a relatively new addition to my annotating. So yeah, but the reason why this one in front is brown in color is because sometimes I want to go over the text. Let me give an example. For example, this is my ACOTAR book. By the way, I will not be spoiling anything with the books that I'm showing you guys, just examples, so y'all won't be able to see any of the texts anyway. I'll put a sticky note like this, and if I put a transparent, translucent one, I won't be able to see what I write, and that's why I have the one that is completely opaque. The reason why it's on my translucent sticky note is because I actually use like a random paper and cut it into a square and just paste it on this thing. If you guys can see, there's like the glue on here. The reason I do that is because I actually don't have any opaque post-it sticky notes right now that are especially like this type of color that is more like craft paper color. That's why I do this. But if I do have like the craft paper sticky notes, I won't be pasting it on my translucent sticky notes, but for now this will work as both my opaque and my translucent sticky notes. I usually only put like the translucent ones on like empty spaces in the book. For example, like at the end of a chapter, usually there's like empty space. These are when I use like translucent sticky notes. The reason why I don't write it on the book immediately, sometimes I might write wrongly, which is why I use the translucent sticky notes. But it's a new edition. I rarely use it, so I don't have much example except for the one I showed you guys just now. Then for my pens and highlighters, I only use one type for pens and highlighters. My highlighters are mild liners. Now I need to explain to you guys specifically which type. I will try and research and put it on the screen. Some of the mild liners that I used to buy were really thick in comparison to the ones that I'm using now. So the ones that I had, these ones, they're different than the ones I'm holding now because these ones are lighter, they're more pastel in color compared to these ones. These are darker, and so when you highlight, sometimes when you use these darker ones, they're just way too dark and they're not aesthetically pleasing. I'll give swatches so you guys can see what I'm trying to say when it comes to the colors of these mild liners. So if you guys want to buy the mild liners, the zebra mild liners, make sure to pick the correct one, the pastel ones, because I bought the really dark ones and they ended up being way too dark on the paper. And then I used to only underline with black pen, but I recently purchased a few colored ones and I really like them. And I think they're just so much cuter to use. Sometimes they just match the highlighter. So I use the Muji Smooth Gel Ink Ballpoint Pen, and they're in the size 0.5. I have more, but they're either in between books right now or I'm using them. So the colors that I'm currently holding are navy, yellow, gray, pink, and this is actually blue, but the edge is pink, but it's actually blue. They're really cute, especially when I'm underlining and highlighting. For example, the underline is pink and the highlight is pink. I think that's really cute. For Happy Place, it's also pink and pink, like that. And then Daisy Hates is blue and blue. And the pens are also according to like the book cover, what the majority of the color is. And that's how I pick the pen that I use. And in general, those are the only supplies that I use for annotating. Hopefully that's kind of useful for you guys. I also have these empty ones so that I can use them when I want to annotate a certain book. I transfer the tab to those empty ones and then I use that tab as a bookmark and as my tabbing system. Next, I want to talk about why I annotate, because I've gotten a few questions of why I would want to kind of dirty my book by drawing on it, by underlining, by just writing on the book. I was the type of reader who hates cracking spines, who hates dog earring pages, who hates drawing and anything that dirties my book. But as I grow older, I realize that these books are mine. I own them. And if I want to draw on them, if I want to put some personality and character into my book, that's totally okay. I just love the experience of annotating. I like that I'm capable of writing my thoughts in that current moment onto the page. And when I go back to that book, I want to like relive that moment again without rereading the whole book. I feel like in that sense, annotating helps a lot. And so that's why I do it up until now. It just feels like such an artistic way of showcasing my creativity. And so that's why I like annotating, and that's why I feel like it's useful for me. Obviously, some people don't like it, and I can understand. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is how I annotate. I think a lot of people want to listen to this portion, so yeah, how do I annotate my books? So I have 3 different types of annotating. The first way I annotate is by only tabbing and no highlighting, no underlining whatsoever. For example, my Emily Henry books, Book Lovers and Beach Read, both of them are tabbed but not underlined. So if I quickly flip through, you guys won't see any underlines, but they are tabbed. like completely tabbed. Most of the time, this happens when I want to enjoy the book and I don't want to waste time taking my pen, underlining, highlighting. It just kind of ruins the flow sometimes. So most of the time, I only do that for books that I'm reading for the very first time. However, like for example, Magnolia Parks and Emily Henry's Happy Place. These two books I tabbed and underlined as I went. I do that when I feel very much for the book or when I want to read the book a little bit slower. I want to enjoy the book a little bit more. I want to really cherish the moments of which I'm reading the book. And when that happens, I take my time, I actually underline, I highlight. I'm not rushing with the read, but sometimes there are occasions at which I really want to enjoy the book and I'll just like tab them. And I'll go back to the tabs and underline and highlight when I'm either done with the book or when I want to take a break and I don't really want to continue reading. I just didn't do that with Beach Read and Book Lovers. Level 1 is just tabbing. Level 2 is tabbing with underlining and highlighting. Actually, to be honest, I think Happy Place is level 3. Actually, level 2 would be like my Sarah J. Maas books like Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, Queen of Shadows, Air of Fire. Happy Place and Magnolia Parks are actually my level 3 annotated books. Why I say that is because my level 3, I will have little drawings and writings on the book. Like I've shown you guys, I now do sticky notes on my book, so that's level 3. A step up from just underlining and highlighting is writing my thoughts, writing my opinions on the margins of the book or any empty space I have on my book. I'll have my thoughts written on the margins like this, sentences and paragraphs, and just like my thoughts in that current moment, little notes on the book. I think Magnolia Parks is probably my more heavily annotated copies, and also just newly done this past few weeks is now I have sticky notes about my thoughts. Most of the time I only do that for rereads, but I also have not done a lot of rereads. The reread, by the way, which is why I am annotating it heavily. But for Magnolia Parks, this book was just very heavy, very hard to read. Sometimes I gotta stop, and when I do that, I feel like my feelings, when it's really overflowing, I really need to like write it down, really need to like express my thoughts in the form of words. And so that's why Magnolia Park is heavily annotated, but I don't actually do this, especially for books that I read for the first time. That is my stages of annotating. I only use 2 drawing supplies, a pen and a highlighter. I know some people use glitter, I know some people use other colors. I don't do that. It's just sometimes it's too messy and I get really annoyed with the way it looks. As to which part, which paragraph I underline, which paragraph I highlight, all of those things, I usually only underline like words, paragraphs, or phrases that I feel like hits me in my feels, and I highlight the ones that are emphasis of a certain thing. Let me use Magnolia Parks as an example. I feel like it's just easier to use it as an example. For example, this is in page 2 of Magnolia Parks. I feel like I'm not spoiling anything if it's only page 2. So, I miss you, I blink in Morse code. I still love you, say the turned down edges of his perfect mouth. So I would underline, I miss you, I blink in Morse code, and I underline, I still love you, say the turned down edges of his perfect mouth. And I'll highlight, I miss you and I still love you, because those two are just like the emphasis of the paragraph and the emphasis of what I'm trying to tab, which is romance right here. And sometimes if I feel like the whole paragraph needs to be highlighted, I will just do straight line down, bracket the paragraph, and that's all I do. That's all I do to highlight the whole paragraph. That is my how-tos. I hope that's helpful for some of you guys who want to start annotating, who kind of is curious on how I annotate and why I do it. But yeah, those are my few examples. I hope that helps some of you guys. And if you guys want to see more examples of like my annotating and how I annotate, I usually put a lot of them on my Bookstagram. I think that's the end of this video. Hopefully I explained everything, and hopefully I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. If I didn't, there probably will be kind of like a cut-in of future Vivian talking about some of the things about annotating. So future Vivian here. I did not explain this, I totally forgot, so sorry for the position changing because this is future me. After I finished filming it, I realized I didn't talk about this, and I think it's pretty important to talk about it, so I'm going to quickly pop in and talk about it. So what to annotate, what the tabs are supposed to mean. So this really depends on the book. I usually start with 4 different types of tabbing systems. So the first one is romance, second is heartbreaking, third is important/memorable moments, and fourth are quotes. So those are the 4 definite tabs that I'll definitely have. But depending on the book, for example, Magnolia Parks, I have a tab that talks about Magnolia, and this is really literally a tab about Magnolia. She talks about like the clothes that she wear, and I think that's very interesting, and so I wanted to tab that, which is why there is a tab about Magnolia Parks. So, but this is only for Magnolia Parks. Current one that I have right now, which is Avatar, I have romance, heartwarming, quotes, heartbreaking, and important moments. So the extra one that I have is heartwarming moments. So it really depends on the book, what it feels for you. I sometimes have a lull tab, which just means funny, if the book is like a rom-com that can make me laugh. Essentially, a lot of my tabs are like feelings, what I feel when I'm reading the book. So hopefully that's useful. Continuing on, I hope this helps, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like this video if you guys enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys like this kind of videos. I do a lot of reading vlogs. I will have a lot of book hauls soon, TBR videos, all those kind of things. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!